Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee and Art in the Morning. I'm Dee Dee, and we're ready to start working on Darcy, doing coloring her with. I use Prismacolor. Use what you have so that you can practice doing the coloring and the shading and all that. And so we did last week. We showed how to make a grid, how just out of a page protector and a Sharpie marker and a ruler. Tape it down well. You don't want it to move once you start drawing. Okay, then let me move this out of the way. This is my focus stuff there to keep my camera focused. And then we drew the grid on the paper that we are drawing her on. Let me go ahead and zoom in one more, guys. Let me zoom in. And I might even zoom in again once we get started. Okay, let's get it to focus again. Okay. And we sketched her out using the grid system. And then I drew her again. I left this so that y'all could see how it looks with the grid. Then what you need to do is go over all these lines. I went ahead and did her glasses in gray and everything else in a sepia tone or a light tan, whatever you have, just so you can see it. And you probably want to do it a little lighter than I did here. I did it a little on the heavy side, which I'm going to lighten up with the eraser, but I did it a little on the heavy side so it would show up on camera. But what you want to do, not redraw it like a third time, but what you want to do is try to get as much of your pencil, like if you got real heavy pencil lines here, then what you need to do is get your whatever, white eraser or white or black. Let me put here. Let me get mine. Where is it? Don't use a red rubber eraser. I don't recommend it. But you can either use one of these white ones or a black one. That if you have this is the best for like really scrubbing up something. 1 second, Sharipa, Sharipa, probably. Yes, you will be erasing your pencil lines. But first you got to go over it with your light tan. So, but if you got anything really, really heavy that you know that your light tan pencil is not going to go over, in this case a, I just used a terracotta, sepia, whatever kind of, or light tan, whatever color, just so that you can get the outline. And what you want to do though is before you do that is you don't have to worry, don't do the grid yet. The grid's fine for this second. But where you got maybe some real heavy sketch marks, like right there, what you want to do is kind of get rid of some of those heavy, heavy lines. Now, don't lose your drawing. Don't lose where you've drawn, but you can get rid of some of the heaviest lines before you go over it with a sharp. This isn't even sharp enough. Go over it with a sharp lightly because the lighter the better for blending. Okay, because you want to blend this out. So a real sharp pencil. Okay, and you're going to lightly go over. I mean, just barely, make sure you get the main lines. And if you need to, just keep looking at the grid again while you're doing your light outline. Okay, we just really want an outline. Hey, Pam, the size of the grid is just 1 inch to 1 inch in this case. And if you want to make something larger, you'll make your drawing grid larger with this being 1 inch. If you want this to be smaller and your grid is 1 inch, you'll make your grid like maybe, 3/4 of an inch. You can test that out to see how much it shrinks or grows depending on the size of the grid. Okay, but in this case, we just did 1 to 1. So it's the same exact size. Okay, exact size. All right. Also, so what you want to do is outline everything. And I did the glasses in gray and her flesh cut and her hair in just a light tan sepia, terracotta, whatever, just a flat, a tan color. Then after you do that, after you've outlined everything, then you can take a large, like I just use a white plastic um, eraser and get rid of all the grids. Now, because you've outlined everything with a color pencil, as long as you're not really scrubbing, those lines should stay there because color pencil doesn't erase that easy. So you want to just use your white, softly erase all the grid lines over your whole thing after you've outlined everything with your color pencil, so you don't lose your drawing, obviously. Okay? All right, so here's where I have her there's no grid lines on her, okay? And you can see I did her glasses in gray. Now, again, I did this a little darker to show up on camera. So before I start doing shading and coloring on here, I would probably, just personally kind of lighten up some of these darker, where I hit it really, really hard with the pencil so that it would show up on camera. I can look at the camera now and I can see it still showing up as long as I can see it. As long as when you do yours, you can see it. I do a little extra heavy-handedness on camera because I want it to show up. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of lighten up the gray there. And that will also help it so that when I go to color in her face, it's not going to smear that gray into her face if I've kind of like taken the edge off the pencil. If y'all have any questions, put them in caps so I know you're asking me a question. Okay, so does that all explain to you guys? Is there anything else y'all want to ask before we, could move on? Again, I'm trying to get rid of some of the heaviest sepia parts where I went over it a little heavy with the color. The hair doesn't matter, we're painting over that. Okay. Okay, well, and let me tell you a couple of tricks or tips. A couple people messaged me or emailed me over the weekend. One of the best ways for you to check to see if everything is in proportion is with your grid and your photo grid. Turn them both over. Look at them both upside down. You'll spot things that are wrong quicker if you do that, okay? And again, guys, I don't expect y'all to, sit down and have this be, an exact, portrait of Darcy with no flaws, everything just perfect. And I hope you don't expect that of yourself if you're not used to drawing and you're not used to portraits or you're not used to color pencils or any of that. Don't be so hard on yourselves. It will take practice and you may not like it the first time. If you don't, do it again. If you're not committed enough to doing it a couple times, then it's going to be fun for you to play and practice, but you're probably not going to be really dedicated to putting in a lot of work into portraiture. You know what I mean? Know what I mean, Vern? Okay, so I just finished, and I'll go ahead and show you this. I did this on Friday. I did another drawing of my daughter, Annie, and I know that y'all that follow me on Twitter and Facebook have already seen it. But here's a one that I did of one of my daughters, and I try to keep it. Now, granted, her hair is not this many colors, but I did it that way. In the photograph that I used, she had like an ombre thing going on at the time. But she has very dark brown hair. But I just played with it and made it whatever I wanted. And so I just finished this one on Friday. And again, it's posted on my Twitter and Facebook and my blog. So if you follow me at InkyWell, INKIWELL, InkyWell.blogspot.com. I'm not really a writer. I don't write and post a lot of words on my blog. And I've had my blog, it'll be 10 years this June. And it's just pretty much all pictures. It's artwork that I work on and things like that. And it's not like all my artwork's not there. If you want to follow and see more of my artwork, then follow me on Facebook or Twitter, or now I'm on Instagram, and I'm Dee Dee Willingham everywhere. So, okay. So anyway, um, just to show you that this is a minimum of colors. There's probably maybe 4 colors in her face. That's it. So I'm trying to keep these drawings that we're doing at a minimum of color so that you don't get overwhelmed by too much shade, too many colors. You can use tons and tons and tons of colors in portraits, and it also depends on the skin tone and all that. But I'm trying to keep it as simple as I can so you are happy with the results, until you start hi, Jeannie. Until you start getting enough practice in where you can start adding more, more lipstick or more, subtleties in the cheeks and things like that. But I want to try to keep it as simple as I can so you are happy when you're done. Okay? All right. So, thanks, guys. All right. So, do I have any questions yet? Like I said, guys, I'm not a teacher. To me, let me straighten up my camera a little bit. It has a gift of being able to take you from point A to point Z, step by step, very methodical, stopping for questions, making sure you learn things. Teachers have a real gift for making you get it. Okay. I don't feel like I really have a gift of teaching in that sense, or the training as a teacher. But what I try to do is inspire you to give it a go. All right, to try things, and I try to show you anything that I might know, not hold anything back. If there, and that's why I try to talk it out, even though right now I need a sip of coffee. I try to talk out my process, or if you're in Canada, process. You know what I mean, Vern? I love to say, I just have to throw a little Paula-ism in there every now and then. And so anyway, to try to get you to, to just to hear what I'm thinking while I'm doing this, so, or any project, so that you can maybe think, oh, so that's it, or, just pick it up, pick up a little tip. Okay. Yeah, somebody asked about the color. It doesn't necessarily have to be the sepia. It's just a good intermediate kind of flesh color, that'll be in the shady shadows. And so I did outline her eyes in a little bit. I kind of went over it at first in sepia, then went over them again in gray. But you want to keep this again as light as possible because you're going to have to blend most of this out. Okay, so yeah, I like that, Carrie. KWIMV. Know what I mean, Vern. Hey, Z. Anybody else popping in? Thanks for being here. AJ. Hey, Barb. Anybody else that I might have missed? Okay, so is there any questions on, what we did with the grid last week? Outline everything. Make sure you have, nice, crisp as best you can before you erase all your grids. Use a nice, plastic eraser so that you're not, you don't want to use a harsh, like the black eraser. This works good for scrubbing out anything like, that'll really erase color pencil if you do that. But you don't want to use that on your grid because you don't want to erase the lines that you do with your color pencil. Okay, so I'm going to move this out of the way. All right, and let me get something behind here. I try to keep some kind of cardstock, just to give it a little cushion, or you can, whatever if you want to put a couple pieces to give it a little cushion. This is all cushioned layers of paper here on my desk. Okay, that looks kind of messy. Let me see. Let me get something here for the camera to focus on, maybe. That's always a good idea. Okay, hey, Julie. I know her last name's not Topaz. All right, so maybe I will put it back on the clipboard so I can lift it up easily. Just to the camera. I don't want anything hanging over the edge where I will get a bend in the paper. There we go. That way I can kind of lift the whole thing up, and if I need to color, I have a hard surface to color on. All right. All right. Yeah. And the other thing that I kind of told y'all about, or you need to have, is you need to have now at this point, because you're going to be using the photograph this time. With Amelia, I didn't give y'all the photograph because I just wanted you to practice just the technique. This time, I want you to have a good photograph of Darcy, which is on my blog. Okay, and you can print that out, or if better yet, if you have any kind of a device that you can bring up the picture or do it later on your computer, use the actual the picture on the screen so you have clarity. You want to have the best picture you can, or you're not going to see the lights and darks without a good picture. The one that we used for the grid, that didn't matter if it was even printed out on black and white, because all you wanted to do was to be able to draw her. So I just printed her out with a washed out color, so I didn't use up a bunch of ink because I didn't need the color. I didn't need the color at this point. I just wanted to use her to draw the outline with. But now you're going to want a good color picture of her. Okay? Any questions on that? And again, if you have any questions, put them in caps so I can know you're talking to me. All right, so I think the first thing we're going to do is get over the fear of the hair. All right, so again, we're going to just go for it. I want it to be as simple as possible for you guys. Just get you a nice bright red. Let's see, I think I got a true red. This is just primary red. All right, now this is not the exact color of her hair. We'll do some shading and things on her hair, okay? And probably some of y'all may not do this right now. You don't have to do this right now. If you're wanting to follow along with some of the pencil shading parts, you don't have to do this step first, okay? But I'm going to. I'm going to go ahead and show y'all. All right, so I'm just going to put out some just plain red. This is just craft paint, primary red, Americana. Use what you have, just as, plain old red, all right? Uh-oh. There went the lid to my water over the edge. That's all right. I'll get it later. Okay, so now I'm just going to get, I'm just going to wet a brush here. And I'm just going to use an angle brush. You don't have to use this, but you want something that's kind of, it's kind of stiff. It's not real, let's see, don't use something like this. That's all real soft. I mean, if that's all you have, that's fine. But, it's better to use just something with a little bit shorter, stiffer bristles so that you can kind of scratch into the paper. All right? So what I'm going to do, and this is not something you're going to be able to follow exactly. It's not a paint by number, okay? So, just be patient with yourself. If y'all have questions, you're more than... you can email me, or if you're follow me on Twitter or Facebook, whatever. And but let me go ahead and show you one other thing. I just to show you. Let's see. I don't want the pictures. Let's go. Let me see if I can find it real quick. This is a little rabbit trail here. But I wanted to show you that some of the girls that have done Amelia have gone on to try their own drawings and their own, let's see if I can just find it here, notifications. Where's my notifications? Oh, good grief, I didn't want the messenger. Let me get back here. Let me just put in her name. So, if y'all know Deb Boring, I don't think she's here. I don't know if I don't see her. If she's here, then maybe she'll say something. She drew, I'm not sure if it's a relative of hers, or let's see, she did just a couple steps. She only showed a couple steps on her Facebook. So she took what we learned with gridding out and the starting with the white highlights and all that, and she's doing, I'm not sure if it's a relative, I don't know that she said. But look at this, guys. And I know it's not going to show up near as well. This has still got the grid on it, so you can see where it's still got the grid. And I know it's flashing out a little because of it's on an iPad here. And then here's where she finished it with a knitted cap. She did a knit cap. Look at that, guys. And again, if you follow Deb Boring on Facebook, go look at, I'm going to get it back up here. Go check it out there because this does not do it justice. It's not even showing the shading, but it's amazing what she did. Just doing a grid and the shading that we've shown. I know, it is amazing. And again, I wish it would show up better. But it's not going to because it's just going to flash out here on the camera. So, and I think we're a little bright here. Let me go ahead and adjust my camera settings. So, oh, there it goes. It flashed back in. Okay. I think we're good for color. I don't want it too bright and flashed out. There we go. So yeah, if y'all follow her, check her out over there. Hey, DFP. Cindy Lou, everybody else popping in there. Thanks for being here. But yeah, so she did an amazing job and she did the grid and then she took her time and she had a few questions along the way, which she pretty much she answered herself. But just so you know that you just can take this, does you know, not just Darcy, but any picture you have and do the same type things. All right, let me get my picture back. Thanks, Carrie. All right, so now again, we're getting back to the hair here. I'm just going to take one color, one solid color. We're going to keep it very simple. Now, I'm just going to, if you notice her bangs here, she has a couple of bangs that kind of flick over her face. So I'm not going to cover up her whole face there. But anywhere that it's solidly covered, I'm just going to block it in, okay? Now, if she's got a couple of waves in her hair, you don't have to, if you see someplace, oh, there's a little bit of a wave right there, I don't want to lose that wave, well, then just leave a little bit of a space. Just leave a little bit of a space on the paper where you don't want to lose where a flip goes or something like that. Like, let's say here, let me follow the, I'm trying to look at the picture too, like her hair goes around this way. So what I just kind of do when I'm doing something like this is just kind of follow the, you know, the contours of her hair and just kind of do a few little flips and things like this. But you want to pretty much get it all, as much as you can, colored in. And you'll always have your picture to refer back to. So if you lose, you know, oh, I lost that little wave there or something, you can go back and I can't even see the bottom of her hair here, so I'm going to have to kind of make it that up. You know, she has a couple little flips in it. I don't know, because the picture I have, we were working with the picture. And so just kind of flip right here, and she's got a little bit of a wave right there. Okay, and so just kind of follow along the contour of her hair. Her hair's pretty, she doesn't have a lot of flyaways or anything like that, so you can pretty much just follow right along the edge of her hair. Orange finger, yeah, they're kind of peachy. Yeah, they're peachy pink, yeah. Okay, all right. Because what we're going to do is, not right now, probably not today, well, I know it won't, we won't get to it today, is we'll do highlights and shadows with pencil. Okay. And you know, we'll throw a few little hairs over her face right there. Now, if this brush is too big for you, then, you know, or you started out with a bigger brush blocking in and you want to get right up along her face, more detail, then go ahead and, well, let me go ahead and do that for you. Get a smaller brush. Let's see what I got here. There we go. Just grab a smaller brush. And she doesn't have too much hair there behind her glasses, but I'm going to put just a little, just to kind of carry it down. You can kind of see a little bit of a reflection of hair back there. Okay, now see, another thing, all right, now I just noticed this. I got a little bit too much red contouring into her face. That's okay. You can cover that up, but don't try to do anything when the paint is wet. Okay, so here's a good example. So I just kind of went in just a little bit too far with the red. But there's ways if you really mess that up, you could at the end make a curl there. But what I'm going to do is just leave that for now. Don't try to do anything with it while the paint's wet. Leave it alone. You can go over it with color pencil, okay, and make that not so indented right there. But don't do it anything like that with the paint wet. Don't go over color. Don't put color pencil on top of wet paint is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so I'm going to keep this little small brush here for just a minute. So I'm going to try to get a nice little line right along her face. I'm going right on top of the sepia line. Going right on top of the sepia line, okay? And if you get a little not perfectly straight, you can fix that with the color pencil, okay? I guess I'd just say don't stress so much. Okay, because if you start being afraid to put the brush down or your color pen, any of it, you're not, for one, you're not going to have fun, you're not going to enjoy it, and you're not going to want to keep doing it, and you're just going to be concentrating on what you think is a mistake, and you won't ever, you just won't keep moving forward on it. All right, so let's see. And again, she has a few little kind of wavy curls, and I think her shirt's red too, so it's kind of hard to distinguish. I'm not even going to draw her shirt in at all. We're just going to draw just her hair. So just kind of free form some curls, and you can, when we get to that point, I just want you to have something to work in. Okay, now you notice right here, I didn't put red there. This is all very dark brown or black back in there. It's in the shadow. So I wanted to realize where the shadow is. You can barely see, just barely see, right at the tip of her nose, straight across is the bottom of her ear. You can just barely see her ear back in there. You're not going to see much. This is all going to be in shadow here. You're just going to see just a tip of her ear there, and then all this is in shadow. Okay? Yeah, I just use Americana. Use what you have. It's okay. All right, so any questions yet on this part? That's all I'm going to do for right now. And again, if you just, we're gonna straighten up the line of her head right there when we get to color pencil. On Annie's hair, yeah, I did a lot of paint. I threw a lot of extra paint in Annie's hair. Let me show you again. So I put black, brown, more paint than I normally do, and then on top of the browns and the black, I went in with a couple shades of brown, and then the white is all color pencil there. But I just wanted to really play. But you can see how you do the curls. You do the curls the way they go. Like that's up under there. This curl's going this way. I just added a couple little flyaways to give it more movement. But let me find one where here's another one I did of Amy where I did her hair more realistic. There's a more realistic hair. There's very little done. Just like I showed you the girl where I did the tiny braids. She's in the smaller book over there. It doesn't take a lot, just to indicate it. We're not drawing every hair. Okay. No, I just use all craft paint in these portraits. All just plain old Americana paint. $1.99, 50 cents when they're on sale. Okay, so now I can hit this with the heat gun, or I'm just going to sit here and look at questions or comments for just a minute. But I don't want to be putting my hand in the wet paint. So if it doesn't dry real quickly here, then I'll go ahead and hit it with the heat gun. Clean my brushes off. And see if you have any questions or anything like that. And if you're watching the recording, remember this is a live show with live people, live chat. And so if you're at a place where it's kind of stalled out for you on the recording, just fast forward a little bit. Okay, so I'm also wondering, this will take us probably a couple of days again. We need to decide if we want to do it part two tomorrow or Wednesday. And that's tentatively, of course, if something doesn't come up where I can't be, either one of those days. But of course, I'll record whatever day we do it. So, do I draw over the CPU? Yes, draw. Oh, yes, Nikki. I showed that. If you came in late, what you want to do is go. First off, make sure you have. I'm extra heavy on my pencils and coloring and everything on camera. You want to do everything as lightly as possible at these sketching in stages. Okay, but make sure that you keep enough information that you don't lose that information, your lines. But then go over everything with the sepia. I used gray for her glasses. Go over everything. This is still pencil here. Go over everything with your sepia or your gray, as sharp of a pencil as you can, but don't dig in. Don't mark into your paper. Try to, do it as sharply as you can. Then you erase all the grid. So here there's no grid. Okay? You're just left with the outline. Um, you need to catch up. Well, I really don't expect anybody that's watching to be following along, you know, maybe a little, but not, fully. All right, so now what I want us to do, let's go ahead and let's get a dark brown. Again, I'm going to use the minimum colors, this pretty much other than the red hair and that in her she kind of got a blue green eye, kind of a gray. She's got a little green, a little blue, and she could probably say, no, they're this color, but here, it's probably not going to show up on camera. Nah, it's not going to show up on camera. But to me, she has kind of a gray green eye, okay? Um, and, that's what I'll try to achieve. So we'll probably want a couple of, if you have a couple of gray, a gray or two, of course, black and white, maybe a blue and a green, because we'll layer it. We'll layer a couple of layers and kind of blend it in. We want our flesh tones. I'll show you the main flesh tone colors that I like you to have, other than black, white, chocolate brown. Make sure that you mm, don't get don't accidentally pick up your indigo blue in place of black, which I've done before. All right, I need another. I'll find black here somewhere. Okay, I'm gonna have to sharpen me a new one. What other colors? Oh, your sepia. I'll go over these for you in just a second. But they're pretty much the same colors that I told you to use in the right before we did Amelia. There's one that was this it. Yeah, this one. Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah, Deb, you did great. I wanted to kind of give you a shout out on taking it to the next level with a grid and doing your own portrait. It was awesome. Okay, so we got a black, a white, your sepia. I have chocolate brown, and then I have the extra, like a dark umber, which is what we're going to use here for a minute in the shadows. We have our uh, peach, just plain peach. It's hard for me to see the names on these. No, that's light peach. I think that's light peach. Yeah, light peach and peach. And for her lips, I just have nectar. Okay, plus we'll probably put in a little, I got just a plain pink. And maybe, I don't know, we'll see. Her lips have got more of a purple tone to them. So if you have any kind of a light purple, look at your picture. This is one of the ones where you're going to use, look at your photograph, okay? And then I've got a couple, I got a artichoke. Is it artichoke? Yeah, artichoke. I think it's artichoke, which is kind of a green color. And then I'll have to pick out kind of a gray blue here. Let's see, I'll get a couple of different, either whatever you have here of like a blue violet lake or a sky blue or both of those. And then a gray. Let's see, got a couple of grays. And if you don't have these exact names of these colors, this is where a good place for you to start looking at your portrait, your photograph rather, and start testing out. Just have another little, have another piece of this paper and test out the colors. Look at your drawing, look at your photograph, look at your photograph and see what colors you have that best go with what your photograph, has. So I've got a 50% warm gray. I've got a French gray, 70%. I've got just a couple of, you never can have too many grays, okay? And then to blend, I like to use the peach beige, which the reason I'm saying I like to blend with that on tone tan paper is because it's the closest color to that tan paper. Okay, that's why I picked this. If you're using a darker, you'd have to, adjust your blending with depending on your layers and the color of paper. Okay, so that's that. And so that's a few. I'm not saying I won't pick out any other colors, especially when we get to the eyes and stuff. But, and then I always like to have a brush. This is an old drafting brush I've had for 30 years, and it just, to keep any flakes. When you're sharpening a pencil or the pencil lead breaks and you get little flakes of your pencil on your paper, if you try to, like with your hand like that, you're probably going to just make a mark. So this will just flick it off without smearing any pencil shavings that happen to be there. Okay, so let me kind of, Deb started her, when she sketched, she gridded it. Exactly, that's a good tip, Deb. You don't need to get a lot of detail. When I start these color pencil portraits, it's very minimal. Look how, if you really look at this, very minimal lines. You just want to map, because at least the way I'm showing you, I'm not saying it's the only way. There's tons of other color pencil artists out there that can probably show you more tips. And I know, not probably, can. And so, if you're really interested in it, then you want to do as many different, just watch all the videos you possibly can. Okay. All right. All right. So first, what I'm going to do here is because I've already started her hair, is I'm just going to kind of lightly, and I say lightly, it's because it's not as dark. It's not as dark as the actual photograph. And, you really don't see her ear back there. There's going to have a couple of hairs wisping over. But I'm just going to just kind of block in the shadow back here behind her hair. Okay, just so I have it kind of blocked in. Her neck's kind of like, it's got a little bit of a shadow there, but this is just the darkest darks behind her face and her ear, and just right there at the edge of the hairline. Okay, maybe you might want to just do a little bit right there at the neck just to indicate that. Okay, all right, so just so that's not bare space there, that kind of makes her face look weird shaped, and that just kind of gets rid of that distraction. Okay. All right. Now, what I'm going to do now, and again, sharp pencils. Unless you're like, some of the blending toward the end where you can kind of use the side, or, some of that. At this stage, you really want sharp pencils. Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and I'm going to zoom in one more time, because now we're going to start doing some more detail. And I'll refocus the camera again. Let's see here. Let me find my card. Where's my card with the... my focus card. Try to have it as, you see what I just did? There's a little piece of pencil there. I shouldn't have done that. I'll do this. You don't have to have one of these drafting brushes either. If you just have a clean, dry, any kind of clean, dry brush, even a makeup brush. You have one of these blush brushes like this kind of thing. Make sure it's clean and dry. Make sure there's no makeup on there. Make sure there's no blush in there. But clean, dry. This is just as good. Just to have a little something to flick off any pencil shavings. Okay? Yes, this is a good pencil sharpener, but again, I like this one because I like the weight of it and it just rolls in my hand because it's round. Now see what I just did there? I dropped some pencil shavings. Don't do that. Go do this. Okay? But my biggest tip for buying for sharpening Prismacolors is make sure you buy one where the lead is centered in the wood. If you're buying individuals off the, out of the, the individual rack, you want to make sure that any pencil you buy, Prismacolor, the lead is centered. That's the main thing that causes breakage, is the lead not being centered. And so when you go to sharpen it, it breaks. You sharpen it, it breaks. And it's very frustrating. Okay. All right. Any more questions? All right. So now I'm going to I want to try to give y'all a step-by-step, and I'm also going to try to sort of do it how I would do it anyway. But I'm going to try to keep in mind that, how you would need to do a step-by-step. Okay. Now, first off, I like to get the whites of the eyes. And I'm constantly, let me say one more thing. When you're using a photograph for your reference, like I am here, Darcy, 90% of your work needs to be looking at the photograph. You need to constantly be looking at the photograph. I can't stress that enough. Oh, and one other thing I want to say, she has a shadow of her glasses right across her eyes. See that shadow? I'm not putting that shadow in. I'm not going to put that shadow that goes right across her eyes in. So if you want to, there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to practice that, see how the shadow comes off of her face here, right across there, shadow from her glasses right there. I'm not putting that in. I think that might be a little, well, it distracts from her pretty eyes for one. Okay, so I just wanted to say that. But you want to constantly be looking at your picture reference. Okay, so I can't stress that enough. I'm constantly looking at my reference. So I'm just going to block in the whites of her eyes here and into the little corner of the eye too, because we're going to go back over that with more peach color. And then the little line under her eye kind of goes like this, even though we're going to kind of define that, but it does have a little bit there and a little bit right there. So I'll hold this up again here in a minute. Just to kind of I'm just starting to block it in. It's not going to be, you just take your time, and I always do a little faster here than I would normally. So you don't have to speed, don't speed through. Okay, so right under her glasses here, and where her eye is, it's highlighted right there as well. Now I'm going to still keep that little defining line there, but there's between her glasses and her eye, it's a little bit of a highlight there. It's lightly highlighted under her eyebrow. Now we'll put in more individual hairs and all. We're just trying to get us a roadmap going, okay? And one of the girls had a problem with this eye, and I found out that, and I looked at the drawing that she showed me, and the reason Here was one of the problems with this. Let me show you this, especially girls that wear makeup. See how thick her eyelashes are over there? Whoops, hang on. How thick her eyelashes are right there. The problem was that the person, when they gridded it, they didn't go here. They used the grid out there. So it made her eye go way out here. So you'll need, if you do this, like someone with heavy lashes or heavy makeup, and you put in some of those elements, you'll need to make that a separate little thing. You'll need to grid a line, put your drawing line there and another drawing line on the outside of the eyelashes. It's not either or. In other words, you can't just have just this eye line here, and you certainly cannot make her eye go out to there. Her eye does not go out to there. Her eye only goes to there. Okay? Same thing for this side. Her eye does not go out here. That's eyelashes. So you need to indicate two separate lines when you're drawing that in. And again, I'm ignoring the shadow line here. I'm just pretending it's not even there. Okay? But her eyeball, when you're drawing it out, whether you gridded it and then erased it and sepiaed it or whatever, don't draw her eyeball out to here. Don't draw her eye out to there. You're going to make her eyes way too big. Look how much space is between the edge of her eye and her face. Look at that. The eyelash makes it a little deceiving. Okay? That's very important. I mean, if you're taking notes, that's important. Don't draw the edge of the eye where the eyelashes end. Okay? All right. All right. So now back to doing some of the highlights. So she's got a lot of highlights over on this side. Right underneath. Okay, this is just your map. A little bit above her glasses, and there's almost always highlights over people's eyebrows because your eyebrows are out. If you look at, just feel your own eyebrow. Feel how the eyebrow sticks out. So there's going to be, the light's going to hit it above. Now look at your picture of Darcy and see, kind of just try to follow your picture as best you can. And if you're following along here, do both. Do both. And again, her eyebrow is we're not completely defined her eyebrow yet. It's just kind of blocked in there. Okay, we got any questions? Hey, Darcy, Dana, Moomy, Marie, thanks everybody for being here. And by the way, if you just came in, I did a separate video with the YouTube drawing before we hit record on this segment, but it's not uploaded to YouTube yet. So after this segment of this recording, then I'll upload the subby and I'll upload this recording as well to YouTube. But just so that y'all know, the winners have been drawn and they'll be posted up there shortly. And if you're watching this video first, then check over there on the subby video. All right, so again, you see a little bit of highlight in between those hairlines there and right above the eyebrow. Now you don't have to go in the order I'm doing it. You don't necessarily have to do this highlight before you do this highlight. Okay? You just look at your picture and wherever you really are drawn to, oh, I need to capture that highlight, or right here on top of this eye, and then in the corner of her eye, and then right there above her glasses. Okay, so, and we're going to address the glasses here in just a minute. Okay, there's a little bit more down here. Okay, and so you just constantly be looking at your reference. I can't stress that enough. Okay, oh, there's more shadow here. Okay, on this side of her glasses here, this is shadowed in as well. So let me put a little bit of it kind of goes up into the curl there. Kind of down on the side of her face there. Okay, that's where the line of her face goes right there. She's got a shadow here. Now I'm not going to put in too much stuff in the hair right now, but I just want you to kind of see where I want you to kind of, pay attention to those shadows there. Okay, if y'all have any questions, put them in caps. Okay. And then right here on the edge of her glass, you know, inside her eye right there, there's a highlight there. Again, that line that cuts across her eye, I'm just ignoring it. Okay, so then inside here, it's very light. And I'm using various, you know, I'm not pushing really hard. I'm just using various, you know, start real light. But you want your whites to be bright enough. You can always go over these whites, okay? But you want to have your map of where all these highlights are. Okay? Following me? It's a smooth paper. There's no texture to it. It's the Strathmore. Here, let me show you the. You don't have to use this paper. The other one that we did with Amelia with the Recollections paper was just as smooth. Okay. The Recollections brand tan paper was just as smooth, and it's fine too. But I'm just using the Strathmore Tone Tan, sheet torn out of the pad there. Okay, but you can what I used on Amelia was just the Recollections brand. So it's as long as it's not textured. You don't want texture on that. But that's a good question, Carrie. The pencil sharpener, I think they have them at Michael's and Hobby Lobby. They're over there in the pencil section, in the art supplies section. They're not expensive. They're, you know, less than $5. Um, and you don't have to have this pencil sharpener. I put out all my pencil sharpeners. I've got probably 10 at minimum of 10 different pencil sharpeners. Now I don't like electric ones because it just the pen eats the pencil real quick. Um, yes, I want you to, if you have any questions, do put them in caps. That's how I see that you're talking to me. As long as it's smooth, Deb, if it's working for you, obviously it's whatever you use for your the little boy drawing that you did work. So it's okay. Okay. All right. So again, I'm going to get my, if you want to erase, you know, at this stage, if you're wanting to erase anything, heavily erase something, I like my Ticonderoga black, uh, uh, eraser. Now, when you're erasing your grid, when you're erasing the whole grid, and I'm just going to repeat it, I use the, where is it now? It's not, slipped away from me here, the white eraser. Well, I have the triangle white eraser here somewhere. I'm not seeing it right here in front of me. But any kind of white plastic, when you're erasing the grid and erasing the grid off of her face, use this. It's soft. It works with graphite. This is the best for graphite. But if you're going to try to erase any color pencil, I like this because it will erase without leaving, again, where's my little, I should be using a brush, um, without leaving red marks like a regular pencil would. Okay? Yeah, it does. Yeah, whatever you have. At this point, unless, this is just how I do it. I try to tell y'all how I do these things. And, but I don't want anyone to, really, don't go out and buy 120 pencils, just to draw Darcy, unless you think you're really, really, really going to love to do portraits. I mean, anyway, that's just me. Make sure you're going to like it. Okay, so right here on her nose, it's very highlighted. And then you got to kind of pay attention now. Pay attention where the little round part of the nose is and how it kind of, there's a little separate area there. And there's a little separate area there that's highlighted. Okay, and then the ball of her nose right there. And then this kind of lightly has a bit of lighter shading there. You can always keep building up. Just keep staring at your picture. Keep looking at the picture. Looking, more than you do your own drawing. Okay? I know it is a hard habit to break. I know, Dana. But the first time you ever have a black, and I'm sure you have had it happen, when you have a black piece of something, color pencil on there, and you do that, and the black mark goes right across the face, and you have to try to erase all that out. You get in the more habit. Now, I'm not in the habit of using this. I'm in the habit of using my big drafting one because it just gets the whole swoosh. But if all you have is a makeup brush or something, then use that. Vicky, hi, Vicky. I think you were going to do that anyway. Okay, so here's a little, right here on her cheeks. Now, if you look at the photograph, the highlight on her cheek does not come all the way down to that line. Okay, it's very light down here. The darkest highlight on her cheek is up here on the little ball of her cheek. Okay, all right. But try to think of the contour of the face as you're doing it. Her nose goes this way, her cheek is going this way. And the more you practice your strokes, go in the direction of the contour of the face, like her face, this goes up into the, this goes like this way up into her face. The more you practice that, you don't have to do it. I mean, I could put her cheek in just doing that. But the more you practice doing this kind of thing as much as you can, the better you'll start to get the feel of the contours of the face. Okay, then this comes right up into her nose right there. Almost right up under those glasses. But the brightest part of her cheek is like right in there. Okay, now I'm just kind of lighten it up and darken it up. Okay? Don't have any questions or anything? We're good? Okay, again, now she does have a little shadow under her nose there, but then it has a highlight. Okay, under the nose, there's a highlight there. And you can go back and add more shadow. You can add more shadow there when we get to that point. Okay, and it comes all the way down. And I know it always looks like a milk mustache when you start this, but most people, you're going to have a highlight. But look at your photograph. Look how this highlight comes all the way around the corner of her mouth. Okay? Those little things will help define the character of the person. And it's a little bit lighter here. And it kind of blends into like a little triangles right there. And right around this side of the nose, right under there, there's highlight. You just got to constantly be looking at your photograph. Constantly. I can't stress that enough. Constantly. I'm looking at the photograph 90% of the time. I mean, I really cannot stress that enough. And of course, mine's just right here. It's just like literally just inches. It's like touching. The iPad's touching my pad here. That's how close it is. So I can just constantly, I mean, I don't even have to move my head. I can just glance my eyes. Constantly glance, 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 glance. Okay? All right? So you want to define all the brightest brights first. That's how I do it. Now, there's you got your little bit of lineage there. Okay, then there's a little bit of highlight up under the cheek there that kind of blends into that. Then down here under the lip, it's a little brighter there, but then it's real bright there, but then I'm kind of fading it out, fading it out. Okay, then I notice that highlight comes down a little more, right up under there, and then she's got a little piercing there, and she's got a nose piercing and a lip piercing. So I'm just gonna kind of go around that. Okay, and then her chin highlights here, but if you look at the picture, the highlight goes right up to the corner of her mouth. Okay, now don't worry about if you think it's too stark at this point. If you can blend it out, but make sure you get that bright, bright whites wherever you see them. And I'm picking them out right now where I see the brightest whites. But, you know, you just kind of have to, it's a trial and error thing, guys. I'm not saying it's going to, there's no practice involved in trying to do portraits. But those little things, those little shapes are what make the face, okay? All right. Now she has a bright highlight right there on her lip. Now, I'll show you, I'll tell you another tip that I do. Because you're going to add another kind of, usually, especially in the eyes, they're going to be so different than the tone paper. I like to just at least put a light coat of white, just it's minuscule, over all the lips so that the lipstick will be vibrant. The same thing for the irises. Now, before I go in here with my white, I'm going to get rid of as much of that sepia, because I did do it kind of thick and heavy, and it doesn't need to be that thick and heavy. But the same thing for the irises. Even though they're going to be gray blue, is Darcy here? Darcy, would you say your eyes are more gray blue or gray green? I think they're gray blue. But when I get zoomed up right on them, they look like they have quite a bit of green in them. Is Darcy still here? So what I do is I just add a thin coat of the white pencil on the irises, because that will keep the vibrancy of the color better. It's kind of like an underpainting. It's kind of like gessoing your page. You're kind of like, just think of that as you're putting a coat of gesso lightly. Now, I'm not coloring in her eyes dark white, a gray blue. Okay. Um, I just want a coat just so that the color will be vibrant, just like an underpainting of anything where you gesso it white or, you know. All right, so now I don't see any highlights really in her ear there. The next highlight I see is right here on the corner of her mouth and underneath that cheekbone. Her cheekbones are really, really defined. And then her chin, she's kind of got her head pulled back. And it doesn't give her exactly a double chin. I don't want to say that, but you can tell that she's, you know, kind of got her chin tucked in. So it kind of makes her cheeks and everything a little bit more defined here. Okay, so just kind of follow along, follow along. This is all underneath the cheek here. And it's got a real, you know, dark white area there. And again, I'm going to add a little bit more brightness on the ball there. Okay, so are we following along? You see how it's forming? You see how it's coming along, guys? Just a light little coat right there. You just got to constantly be looking at your photograph. Yes, her hair is one coat of red paint for now. Yes. Okay. Pull this down. Okay, she has some white highlights kind of on her skin right along the hairline there. And then it kind of fades out there. Oh, now let me go back over here. So here, remember we got a little too indented right there? Well, see, now you can go back in because the paint's dry and fix that. See how easy that was to fix? But don't try to do it with the paint wet. Don't try to do it with the wet paint. All right, so her eyebrow, brow, the actual brow, kind of comes out a little bit there. And we're going to draw in the eyebrow hairs and all that after, you know, later. But I just want y'all to kind of block it in. All right? So see, all right, hang on, I got incoming mail. It kind of froze. All right, hang on. Come on, come back to mama. There we go. Okay, I lost my chat. Hang on, guys. Let me restore my chat and get it back here. All right. Okay. All right. Well, Deb, you Debbie boring? I know it sounds funny to say that. She's not boring. Anyway, your little boy that you post on Facebook turned out amazing. All right, so again, on her neck here, under her chin on this side, you can kind of see like the neck, and you can kind of see in everybody's neck and bones and in their throat and their collarbones and all that. You just got to look at the picture. Look at the picture. Okay. And this is going to be a little more shadowy here. And again, I got this line right here under. I picked up too much sepia when I drew over the pencil line. So let me just kind of concentrate on getting that straightened out there, because it got a little dark. And this is just your, map. This is your map. You can, add more white, more color, and all that. But to me, the easiest way to start a portrait is the whites. Okay, because see how easy it is to see a formed face with just the white. Okay. All right, there's a little bit lighter here. Okay, I'm going to sharpen my pencil. All right. Now, another thing that I want y'all to not do not color in her glasses. They're black. I think they're black. If they're dark blue, I think they're black. We're going to do them black anyway. Don't color in the glasses black till you've got all the skin done. Okay, now the glasses have a white like inner, let's see, do mine have that? No. They have a white inner lining or area in her glasses. We're going to do that. But we're not going to put the black on the glasses, because when you start shading and blending out the skin, you'll be picking that black up. I promise you. Do not put the black on the glasses till after you get all the skin and the eyes done. Now, but in this case, her glasses have, and again, make sure your pencil is sharp, and this is where you can help define the glasses. Like I'm even kind of almost say ignoring that gray line right there. You want to, because her glasses have that white inner ring into them, you can put that in there. Okay, but don't put the black. I'm gonna, and it can almost go right over I'm almost going right over that gray line, because that black is going to be nice and sharp there when we get to it. I'm going to go ahead and do this, and I'll hold it up to the camera so you can see. Okay, just got a little bit of a highlight right there, and then going right over the gray there, real sharp and as thin as you can, where you see those thin areas on the top, and then it comes up underneath. I'm going right over that little red part of her hair there that I added in. Okay. So if you've seen the picture, you know what I'm talking about these white areas in her glasses. It's the actual plastic in the glasses has this white inner core. Okay. Hi, Lilith. Okay, I missed my scroll. Just scrolled all the way to the top. So Lilith probably came in a long time ago. Scrolling. Dana said, gotcha. Glasses are black with white trim. Yeah. So don't put the black part, just put the white trim. Vicki talked about a catastrophe. So work like. In this case, yes, Carrie. Now, you could, I mean, we could go in here and put dark, like, let me sharpen my black pencil. You can put some of the darkest darks, but not on the glasses. Here's my thing. If you're gonna have to blend any face, okay, I thought Hobby Lobby quit putting, hang on, I gotta cut that off. Quit putting their taping their tags to their pencil that are annoying, because you have to, that's where you want to sharpen. And they got these tags on there, so you gotta get all that carp off there. Okay, one more, hang on. Let's take a minute to clean the stuff off the pencil here so I can sharpen it. There we go. All right. So anyway, what I was saying is you don't want to put it around the glasses because you're going to be blending the flesh, the skin, and the eyes so close to the glasses that you'll be picking up the black, and you don't want to do that, when you're blending. Okay. All right, so, but there's some very, very dark areas right behind her hair here, and if it helps you to kind of, define her face and everything, you can do that. But remember, if you put any color on the ear here, you don't want to pick up that black when you're, but if it helps you define the face for yourself, and the more you practice, the more you know, well, oh, I've done that before. I've picked up the black when I went to blend, so I better not do that right now. Then don't do it, All right, but see how it helps define things. So when we start doing the darks, it will, and the glasses, it'll just pop when we get to them. But you don't want to have to try to work around the black glasses, okay? It gets really dark up in the shadows of her hair up in there. I'm gonna leave that for now. Okay, because her face comes right down there. Okay. I know, right, Carrie? And it will make her look just, all right, let me see if I can find my Packer dye. Hang on, let me find, because she has glasses. It's in the, where is she? I think she's in this, is she in this little book? Yeah, here she, her glasses are purple, but it was the same thing. We did not put, or I did not, we didn't have, this wasn't a draw along. I did not put her purple glasses on till after the face was, blended out. But there you go. So you can kind of see where we're going. But if you notice, it's very little. I try to keep the shading as little as possible and still capture the person, or the colors, I should say. Pick a few colors that are real obvious to you when you look at the photograph and work with those. Okay. Her lips probably got, other than white, probably a pink and one other color. That's it. But because you shade and it's very subtle, All right. Well, it's good to have you stop by, Deb. Thank you. All right, so next let's go ahead and we're going to just do a little bit on the eyes, and then that'll be all for today. I'm not sure, I kind of want to continue it tomorrow because it might need to go into Wednesday. So, that's why I kind of like to do it on Tuesday and finish it up on Wednesday if we need a third day. may not need a third day. I know, Vicky, that's true. All right, so now what I want you to do is take a nice sharp, sharp black pencil. I'm going to even sharpen mine a little more, okay? Just to put her, now her pupils are very, she's got like, the way the light's hitting them, it's very, they're small, So you can just put in a little bit of pupil, okay, tiny, like that. All right. Now I'm going to also get my blue, a kind of a gray. This is warm gray, 50% warm gray, but whatever gray you have. The outline of her eyes will end up being a little darker than this, but this is just to define them. Okay, now when you're doing this, pay attention to where the glasses are. The glasses are covering up parts of her pupil. So you want to keep that in mind when you're just keep looking at the drawing. And what I really want you to just do is do the outside edges of the pupil. You can't see the tops. And I don't want you to draw anything on the bottom yet. Okay. So let's just draw. And this one, you can almost see the bottom. I guess you really can see the bottom of the pupil on this one. But keep it thin. Keep it thin. I just want you to be able to kind of get a little bit of her eye blocked in. Okay. Her eyes, I mean. And like I feel like this side I got a little bit too far down right there. I'm just going to go back in with the white and kind of clean up that edge just a little. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is, because we have that white undercoat under there, is I mean like a hairbreadth of gray over the top of that white. I mean, you probably won't even be able to see it on camera. I'm just barely covering up the white. Don't bear down, barely put any gray down, because you're going to put some blue on top. Okay? You shouldn't even hardly be able to see it, but you should have got rid of the white. Okay? Now this eye does not come quite down that far, but she has a little bit of the white eyelid there, and we'll fix that when we get to the outer edges of the eyes. Okay, so, little things like that, just got to tweak it as you go. All right. So now let me see what kind of sky blue or whatever, which one you have. If you either have a blue slate, or which one am I liking? I think I'm liking the blue violet lake. Any of these kind of mid-tone blues, whatever you have. You're going over the gray, and you're going very lightly, almost just like you just did the gray. We're just putting a kind of coat of blue. Okay, not getting a lot of detail. We're just kind of putting color on right now. Okay. And this is where you're really going to have to just stare at her eyes and kind of really just see where the shading is. What I really would love for y'all to do is just kind of take about 5 minutes and just stare at one of her eyes, the one you're going to get ready to work on. And if you just stare and stare at it, you'll see, like, next what I would do, sharpen the white. Oh, and let me give you that tip on the white again. This is why, let me sharpen it really well. I'm getting a wax buildup in there. Hang on. This is why you see all this on all these pencil lines. It's because I'm cleaning off my white. Every time you touch another color, you're getting some color on there. You always want to keep the white tip of your pencil cleaned off, because then when you go into the whites of the eyes, you're going to be picking up a color, and you need to get that color off. Okay, so I'm constantly cleaning that off. Now, what I see is the whitest part of her eye right in there, and I'll hold it up. Well, let me see here if I can hold it up in the air and do it. The lightest part of the gray is right there and right there. Okay. Same thing on this side. And don't worry if the pupils are not perfectly round and all that yet, because we're going to put so many layers, you're going to go back over it. On this side too, if you look at real close, the pupil has got lighter there and lighter here. That's just where the light is hitting the gray in her eyes on either side of the pupil. There's no way I can say, oh, it goes right here. I can't tell you, oh, put this little line here. I can tell you, how some of the lines are in the eyes, but every eye is different. You've got to just stare at those eyes and just look at them and look at where the highlights are. All right. Now I'm going to take my black again, and I'm going to kind of redefine and kind of get the right shape of her pupils are maybe just a touch bigger. This one's just a little bigger. Okay. And then I'm going to pick up the gray again, because now I can start to see where some of the shadow in the pupil is. Now, again, because that one, the shadow of the glasses comes across, you're going to have to kind of just put a little bit in, but don't put a line. Don't put that dark line. Just kind of put a little bit of shadow there, but don't put a line, because that's where the shadow from her glasses are that we're not putting in the shadow of her glasses. All right. So now I'm just going to, let me see, do I want a darker gray? Let me see here. And do I want a darker gray? Now, I think I'm going to just put a little shadow on the pupil line there, a little bit there on the edge of the pupil. Just got to keep looking at the picture. Okay, and wherever you see it's dark, that's where you want to put the dark. All right, now again, her glasses, the white part of the glasses cuts right across the eye, so I'm going to extra accentuate that for my purpose to see it. And then just got a little bit of a shadow right there. I'll hold it up, but again, you just got to keep looking at the picture. I'm going to show you it in stages here. So kind of like that so far. Just kind of constantly going back and forth. Now it needs a little bit more blue. I'm going to put a little bit of blue over that white on this side, and a little bit more blue over the white that we laid down on that side. Just a little bit on this edge and a little bit on this edge. You got to kind of balance back and forth between gray and blue, because they're both. Okay. Again, the glasses have the little white rim coming right across. Okay, so now I'm going to sharpen my pencil again and make sure the tip is cleaned off. And I'm going to go back over the whites of the eyes, because I've kind of lost some of the definition by doing the irises. You're just going to kind of go back and forth. But after I do this, now I'm going to take that blue, the light blue, okay, and if you look real carefully at the eyes, and most people do have this, and maybe not this exact color, but they have it. Right where under the eyelid, it's going to be a little bit of a blue-gray. I mean, just barely put a tiniest bit, and you'll start to see when we shadow it out, right under the eyelid, there's going to be a shadow, especially since she has glasses on. But we're going to put that kind of gray-blue on the eyeball there. Now we're going to blend it out with white. But, you know, just get that on there. And in her case, it kind of comes around the eyeball there, and back in there. Just keep looking at your picture. And then take your white and blend that out. You just got to you want it very subtle. And it takes practice, guys. It does take practice. And when we put our black mascara on, our eyes are going to pop. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of blend that. And it's back and forth. All right, so now I want to go back in here over the gray again with some white. You got to just go back and forth. Gray, blue, white. Gray, blue, white. Until you get them like you want them. Okay, it's a constant back and forth. Okay, so I need a little bit more gray subtly around the edges there. Now when we put the highlight in here, you're going to see it pop. But you got to get enough color on here. And the glasses are right up under there. Okay, a little bit more blue. And I know this is probably not the most helpful tips I'm giving you right here on the eyes, but it's just not you can't just say this is it, because every eye has different shadows and highlights, and you just got to constantly go back and forth, blending and adding color. Okay. It'll be back and forth, back and forth. Now I'm going to continue to do more on the irises, but I want you to see what happens with the pupil. All right, so I'm just going to get out a dot of white paint, which my lids went flying over the edge of my table. Oh, I have to get those out in a minute. Let me find another one. Just a dot of white paint is all you're going to need. But first I'm going to go back with the black. And if you don't think you can get a sharp enough edge with your black, I mean, I don't have any problem taking like a micron, if I can find one here, a Sharpie or a micron to do that pupil. But remember this will not erase. If you mess up your pupil with your black pen to get that nice sharp circle there's no going back. You can't get rid of this. Okay, you can try to go over it a little bit with white, but I don't know if I would recommend you doing this, because I'm afraid if you mess it up, then that's it. But you can. Every single tip helps. Okay, thanks, Vicki. All right, so now I am not done with some more gray and blue shading in here. But what I want to do is I want you to take a needle or a pokey tool. I just use my pokey tool. Okay, make sure it's nice and nothing on the tip there. Okay, let me hold this up. I'm going to show you. And I got the littlest amount of paint you could possibly get on there. It might even be better if you use like a embroidery, something that's not a sharp needle, but whatever you can get to get that one little dot of highlight. Now look at the difference right there. Okay. I needed to have it down on the ground. Okay, so I needed a little bit on the edge, so I'm going to have to fix my highlight there. And held it up in the air, got a little off, but you want them just a dot. Okay, can you see how that brings it to life? Now I made that one a little thick because I got it in the wrong spot the first touch, but you can fix that. All right. Now when I'm doing this, I also see that there's a bright white highlight right in the corner of her eye there, so I'll just touch it with the white too. I'll probably end up losing that with other colors, more shading, but I'm just going to show you what that does when you add just that little highlight in the corner of the eye too. Now we're also having to ignore the line that comes across her glasses, And we're also going to be shading more around here. This eye is not going to look bigger than this one by the time we're done. Okay, so now I'm not done. I've still got more color to do, but I just wanted you to see how the pupil and the highlight bring out the eye. But I've still got lots more little subtle shading to do in the eye. But it's just something you can't really follow exactly what I'm doing because you just got to see it for yourself, you know? You just got to kind of see some of that for yourself. And if you think it's too gray, add a little more blue. If you think it's too blue, add a little bit more gray. And you just got to keep going back and forth until you get it just like you want. No? And it's very tiny and very subtle. You know, the more you can blend it out, the better. And I might need to go back in with just a little bit more white on the edge there. And again, this might be very subtle on camera, but up under the eyes there, there's a little bit of a shadow of blue-gray. If you look at the photograph, see how much that just makes the eye like more alive when you have that in there? Again, her eyes are going to be pretty much, her top is going to be outlined in black. It's going to make it pop, just like Packer dye here. Her eyes didn't really pop out green until we added all that makeup. Okay, well, the same thing's going to happen to Darcy. See, look, she doesn't have her makeup on. So it does make a difference when you get to the makeup stage. I'm telling you, that's why we wear makeup. Okay, so again, back up, blending out those little shadows under the eye. You don't want a blue, harsh line. You want it to be blended. If you lose too much white in the eyeball, then you can go back with more white. And if you got too much where you can't get that bright white again, you have your acrylic paint. Okay. It's white right there. The little light, the little under eye lid, if you will. See, we haven't even drawn her eyelashes in here or anything yet. So she looks a little like she needs some makeup. Oh, okay. Well, that would be good for anybody that, because see, I zoom in with my iPad. Look, I can get right up on her eyeball. See, there's the line we're ignoring. See the line from her glasses? We're ignoring that. We're ignoring this. So you've got to kind of color in there, imagining that that's not there. But try the best to get the color as good, as closely to it as you can. But it's going to take a while, guys, back and forth, back and forth. And if it doesn't turn out exactly like Darcy's eye color, don't get frustrated, guys. Y'all, you have to be a little patient with yourself. You're not going to learn all this overnight. I'm telling you. Okay? But you can kind of practice with where the the glasses come around and all that. Again, I'm hurrying a little faster than I even want to, but I'm determined. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do one other thing here, which, I probably wouldn't tell you to do till, closer in, but don't want to forget. She has a diamond on her nose, and we're going to work around this, and she has a little diamond thing or jewel on her, just so you know where they are. And we're going to still do more blending. And if you color over that and after a while, it's okay. You can put it back. But you can kind of see where, you just got to take your time. And if you're not sure if you got the eyes, round enough or anything, turn it over and look at it. Turn your reference material over and look at it. Okay, so her eye looks a little scrunchy right there, but that's because we haven't put the eyelashes and everything down on there yet. It'll all be good once we start putting the eyelashes and makeup in. But you don't want to do that because if you put black on, that dark mascara, I mean, look how dark her eyes are. See how black the eyelashes are? If you put that on now, you won't be able to do that white line right there. If you put those eyelashes in right now and try to draw that white line right there, you're going to be smearing it all up. Bye, Z. So just kind of go back and forth and work, in the eyeballs. And get them, as close to what you see. Get all your highlights, as many as you can see. We're going to put our eyebrows and all that in. Try your best to kind of ignore the line across the eye where the glasses are. I mean, we could put it in, but it's really going to be, that'd be tough for you to kind of follow that. I think. Maybe not. If you want to put them in, go ahead and try. But I think it would just detract from her too. Because people that don't see the picture, they're going to say, why did you have that line going across your eyeball? So anyway, I think we'll stop at this, guys, for today and pick it up tomorrow. We've been at it for about an hour and a half. Okay. So do y'all have any questions or anything else right now? I mean, if you want to take your gray and kind of make sure, like I noticed that this edge of her glasses here with my black pencil is a little bit rounder over there. So I'm going to kind of round that up just a little with my gray pencil. But don't get the black in there yet. Don't get the black in there yet. You can kind of tweak things. But you don't want to put any black color in there until we're done. All right, so what do y'all think so far? Darcy, is Darcy still here? Okay. Same for here where I kind of need to. Whoops. Okay. All right, guys. And like I said, don't, I might seem like I'm rushing through a little bit, but you guys don't do that. Take your time. Don't rush. Y'all are on camera to have to hurry. You can take your time and take as long as you want. You don't need to rush. Okay, so let's just go ahead and I'll plan on being here tomorrow. Maybe we'll do another hour tomorrow, maybe another hour on Wednesday. And we'll continue on. Okay? Got any questions or anything? Yes, you can use color pencil. For instance, here's pack or die again. We started with just red hair, red solid, a solid red. And then we have, I'm not sure if I put a wash of brown. I might have put a wash of brown paint on top of it. And the rest of this is highlights. I mean, color pencil. Pink and white, and same for her shirt here. White. Okay. Let me find, where's Annie's? The one I did Friday of Annie. Let me show you her. Well, here's another girl that I did for Sketchy. Her hair, I started out with just solid black. And she has like a purple tint to her hair, this little bowl cut. So it's just purple, white, and brown on top of black paint. Okay. Let's see what else. Her hair, solid black painted in. All black, just a solid thing of black. And then highlighted with some gray and white. Okay. Are you saying that would be good to do an hour tomorrow, Eileen? Is that, I missed that. Okay, even on like the minors here, the gold rush guys. Solid red, shading with white, and then lighter shades and some grays. The clothes the same way. This is ochre, black, and then color pencil on top. Okay, where's Annie again? What did I do with her? In Annie's case, I added more paint. I just had fun playing with the paint. Where is she? Oh, she's at the front, I think. I added some black, brown, kind of like a couple of shades of, paint. And then after that, you have to make sure it's dry. Don't try to put color pencil on wet acrylic paint. But you can see how you can wisp right over the top of the paint. This is more like fantasy hair than like real hair. Okay. Like here's where I did more of her real hair. Again, I started with black and brown. Maybe I took a couple wisps, like maybe I had black and brown mixed on my palette, and I just picked up a little of both and kind of colored her hair black and brown. But all this is with color pencil. Okay. All right. So anyway, yes, Darcy's probably thinking, put some makeup on me. I look a little plain. Let me see if I can show her picture a little better here so you can kind of see her again. So you can see how much her black eyelashes, bottom and top, are going to make her eyes pop. Her pretty red lipstick, and see the nice shadow in her little dimple there. And we're going to do the same thing with the nostrils. See, it's very kind of washed out right now, but we start with the white to form the face. Okay. Everybody dyeing their hair. All right, guys, let me back out the camera a little and autofocus again with my card. And thank everybody for being here. So what do y'all think so far? Are we happy so far with it? I'm happy with it so far. So, okay, guys. So remember, the photograph of Darcy's on my blog, InkyWell, InkyWell.blogspot.com. You got to scroll down. I've added a couple other things, some step outs that I've done, but scroll down a couple of days and you'll see Darcy's photograph. It's if you can't print it out with good quality print a photo of her, then just look on your device, your phone, your iPad, or your computer. That's one of the things I love about having an iPad is I can pinch and zoom right in and get right up on them. That is an advantage if you're doing portraits, in my opinion, if you can do that. I mean, if you can have your portrait and go like this and get right up on the color of her eye, it's better. But, if nothing else, at least use your computer, look at the computer and like click it and make it as big as you can. All right, guys. So I'll upload this and also the winners from the drawing, the 1,000 subbies. Thank you so much again, all the YouTube subbies. It looks like all three winners were YouTube only watchers. If they watch here, I've never seen them here. They might be, just as a guest and not signed in. And everybody's welcome to come to the live Ustream shows. I try to have them at Mondays, 9 a.m. Eastern. And again, when we need to, Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday, and impromptus. But definitely for sure Mondays at 9 a.m. So, all right, guys. Thank you, Dana. And thanks everybody for all the nice comments. I'm keeping all of them. I'm tempted to go comment back on every single one. I didn't comment while the giveaway was going on because I didn't want my name in between every single one that I cut up, this morning. So I'll probably go back and leave some comments. All right, guys. Jean's coming on at 4 still. And yeah, I saw the link. And thanks, guys, for being here. And we'll see you on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, G+. Bye, guys. Thanks again. We'll see you tomorrow morning. All right. Bye.